Hello, everyone. This is a brief screencast on the topic of the week, family involvement. The information in the screencast relates to textbook chapter 13. I thought that'll give you some information that will help you write your third section of the field observation report, since the second section of the report deals with family involvement and connecting your observations to family involvement practices that you're seeing or probably hearing about from your field observation classroom. So there are two things that I would like to address in this screencast. First, the theoretical framework, which is Joyce Epstein's Six Types of Family Involvement, which is also the national standards of family involvement, that all public schools and public education institutions that cater to children and families use to help make family involvement happen in their programs. And second, toward the end of the screencast, I also want to go back into the Common Core quiz. I had every intention to do this last week, but for some reason didn't get to it. So I just want to unpack the quiz so that you guys have an idea about what the quiz required and how to approach the task in the quiz. So the first consideration for you as beginning teachers is to think about why really involve families and why think about family involvement. And there are a number of reasons for that. First of all, is this African proverb that you see here. Families are the most important experts on children, and we may have them for a certain amount of time in a particular year in their life, but families, parents particularly, and the extended family shape children's lives and have goals and aspirations for children. So it's extremely important to take the time to understand them, to understand their aspirations for children, and to help them support children's development to the best of their ability. In addition to that, we also know that there is a lot of research that shows that when family engagement works, it helps everyone. It helps the children. When in school districts where families are highly engaged, you see children reach very high levels of academic achievement, test scores soar. Families are very happy, contented, and satisfied with the services that the school provides. And the school and the educational program and teachers in particular also feel extremely supported and empowered in their role in shaping children's lives and destinies. Because of all of this research, No Child Left Behind, the federal act, which was commissioned in 2001, particularly mandated parent involvement with these four crucial points, and it mandates public school districts to provide annual parent meetings, including back to school nights, conferences, report card nights, frequent and consistent and ongoing conversations with parents, various ways of providing information, involving parents. The parents are required, schools are now required to have policies, clear-cut policies, documented, transparent policies to involve parents in planning the educational program, in reviewing periodically the educational program, as well as program improvement. And the schools are required to provide many opportunities to parents to participate in their program. So with that larger goal in mind, how can exactly schools make family involvement happen? And that's where the Joyce Epstein family involvement framework comes in handy. These are Joyce Epstein is a psychologist and educationist and researcher from Maryland, and she has written extensively, conducted a whole lot of research, and based on her empirical findings, has put together this framework for making parent involvement happen. And this is a collection of six types of family involvement, which have been linked to high levels of family engagement and children's success. And so these are the six levels. These are pretty intuitive, and what I have done is I have attached a simple PDF that helps you walk through some sample practices and examples of what each of those types look like. Chapter 13 in your textbook also has a lot of detail about each of those family involvement types, the main goal behind each type and what practices look like, what are some impediments, and how school districts are enacting promising practices to work around those barriers. So these are the 6 levels. The very first level is or type is parenting. This involves all kinds of activities and information provision, services and venues that school districts use to help support parents become good parents. So this is anything that the school can do to help parents in their parenting role. Type 2 is communicating, providing information through a variety of channels and modalities about the school's program, the school's policies, about students' progress, and about various aspects of the school's program. Type 3 is providing opportunities to volunteer. This may take many different forms. It may start with a very basic survey that the school does, which asks parents to share their skills and their talents, and provides opportunities for them to share and offer these talents to enrich the educational program. The Type 4 is learning at home, where schools provide variety of avenues to help parents reinforce and support the learning that the children are doing in school. This may take the form of homework policies, of special kits and curriculum workshops, family literacy nights, math workshops, and any other kind of curriculum workshops and support that parents that will help parents and families support the learning at home. Type 5 is decision making, which involves ways to engage parents in reviewing the program, providing input about services that are needed, parent-teacher organizations, parent-teacher associations, advocacy and lobbying groups that might work to get more resources into the schools, and the like. Finally, type 6 is collaborating with the community, and this really stretches the family involvement outside of the family and the home and the school circle by going out into the community, and this involves identifying local resources, community services, and how the school and the teachers can leverage those resources and make them available to the families for the betterment and the well-being of the child. So this, in nutshell, are the 6 types of parent involvement. Like I said, there are more details that are available on a PDF handout on the Epstein framework in the week 14 folder, and of course more details are available in your textbook. So part of this section in your field observation report, the third section of your field observation report, is about trying to explore what kind of family involvement activities are available in your fieldwork program. Look around, ask around, talk to your teachers, and see what the teachers, what the program, what the school does to engage parents, and how you can connect those activities and events to these 6 types of family involvement in the Joyce Epstein framework. So here are some examples that might help you make these connections. So bulletin boards, documentation panels which display children's work with teachers' narratives, anecdotes, and children's dialogue help communicate to parents the learning that is happening inside the classroom, and therefore this relates to type 2 communicating. More examples of type 2 communicating. On the left of the screen, you see a family communication board. This is a special bulletin board close to the door of the classroom, which displays the weekly lesson plan, the songs that the children are singing, the rhymes, the entire thematic unit breakdown with all the activities that will be done with the children. maybe a checklist of materials for parents to stock while the children are exploring that particular topic. So anything and everything that deals with the curriculum and the activities and the learning that is happening is displayed by the teacher on the family communication board. On the right, you see a memo holder, which is right next to, which is basically a place for parents to pick up memos and circulars. And again, that relates to a form of communicating. So that's type 2. Um, More examples. The very first picture on the left is that of a family literacy book bag. As you can expect, the bag has a book, a children's book, along with a series of follow-up activities that parents can do after they have read the book with the child. And again, as you can see that these activities help the parents stretch the book and in the process address quite a lot of the important curriculum skills that the teachers are also addressing in the classroom. There are also examples of a family literacy night and a family math workshop series where parents come to the school and engage in some interactive parent-child sessions with the teachers' facilitation that help them understand how to approach math and early literacy concepts with their children in very developmentally appropriate ways. Some examples of volunteering, that's type 2. Here is a picture of a parent chaperoning a class on a trip, and on the right is a picture of a parent who is volunteering his time by being a classroom helper. So hopefully some of these pictures give you some food for thought about what to look for and how to connect to the 6 types of family involvement. I also wanted to take the time to unpack the Common Core quiz. So let me just walk you through what your task was. So your task had 5 major points. And what I'm going to do is a task analysis of that task. So to just decompose the task, first you had to read the brief activity description. You had to, from that brief description, you had to kind of get to the central skill in the content area, which was inherent in the activity, because it is with that skill, then you would navigate the Common Core document and you would try to identify the Common Core standard that best describes that skill. And then as a final step, you would provide that standard in the blank in the quiz. So these were the 5 steps that you had to perform in order to get to the right answer and to ace the quiz. Let's just do this with an example. So here's an example of one of the questions that was on the quiz. A kindergarten teacher presents a 2D flat square and a 3D cube and helps students to observe and describe the differences and similarities in the two shapes. So this is how you would unpack it. So the grade is kindergarten, the content area is math, and since this activity features a 2D flat square and a 3D cube, so clearly there's geometry, shapes that are being explored, and the central skill is that the teacher wants them to observe and compare and contrast the 3D shape and the 2D shape, and that is what gives us the clue to the Common Core standard. Let's go into the Common Core standard and see this a little better. So here is the Common Core standard. So we know that this is kindergarten, and you can see under kindergarten you have counting and cardinality and all of this. So going straight into geometry, and if you look at this, you have one cluster, which is identifying and describing shapes, and the other one is the analyze compare. So again, clearly analyze, comparing, looking at similarities and describe and differences will figure here, and so that kind of narrows the options to look at. And in this cluster, you have 3 standards only, and so if you look at it, model shapes by building shapes from components is not what the activity is doing. Composing simple shapes to form larger shapes is also not what this activity is describing, and that leaves the last and only option. And if you clearly read it, analyze and compare 2 and 3-dimensional shapes, this is where the 2D and the 3-dimensional shapes are featured, and the language of the standard clearly gets into describing similarities and differences. And so that is our standard. So hopefully this helped. This is what you were required to do for each of the 4 questions. I look forward to seeing you all on December